Are you a fan of the Quintessential Quintuplets? Were you hooked by the ongoing mystery of who Rena's identity was? Or perhaps you just wanted to see who the protagonist Rentaro ended up with? Were you enamored by one of the cute girls vying for his heart and wanted ever so badly to see your girl win? As of February 2020, the series has ended. Negi Haruba moved on to another series, and a Quintessential Quintuplets-sized hole has probably been left in your heart. By the way, we did a review for his new manga, Go Lose a Ranger, on my podcast Anipro a while back, and you should definitely check that out as well. Links to that will be in the description. I know I felt this way, and I spent months looking for a replacement to fill the void. Tying the knot with an Amagami sister, or Amagami-san, Chino, and Musubi, on the surface, felt like a decent replacement, and while I still like reading the manga, it didn't fulfill that mystery aspect Quints had. That fun of trying to pick apart every minute detail to figure out who Rena was, or who the promised endgame girl would be, just wasn't present. For the sake of recommendation, I'm sure some of you in my shoes would find enjoyment out of Nisekoi, an early 2010s rom-com manga published in Shonen Jump. It features a boy, named Raku, trying to figure out who the girl he had promised to marry as a child was, as he juggles fake dating an opposing Yakuza family's daughter in hopes of ending their family rivalry. I'm not going to go over this manga too much, because for most of you watching this, I'm sure you've heard of it and seen the anime or read the source material, but I figured I'd throw it out there for those of you that haven't. As for myself, I'd read Nisekoi long before Quints and needed something else to fill the void. Enter late 2023, and Kodansha's weekly shonen magazine publishes a new manga that, as I now know, would fill the gap in my heart that Quints had previously left. Mayonaka Heart Tune, or Tune into the Midnight Heart as it's known over here in the West, is a manga by Masakuni Igarashi, whom you already may know as the creator of Senryu Shoujo, a romance manga turned anime featuring a girl who communicates her thoughts and feelings through haiku. I do this all the time. Not the manga and anime franchise, the poem format. Haiku. Does anyone else do that? Like, seriously. This isn't in the script. I'm just spitballing here. Does anyone else do this? Okay, I'm getting off topic. Tune into the Midnight Heart stars Arisu Yamabuki, a second-year high school student who, a few years ago, found comfort in listening to Apollo, the host of a radio show whose voice would be the one solace he had as he lay in bed at night. After the unexpected cancellation of her show, Arisu resolves to find her and deliver to her a message he had left unsaid at the time. The catch? He has no idea what she looks like or what her name is. But the four girls of his school's broadcasting club, who each have a different dream related to broadcasting, have voices that remind him of the mysterious Apollo. I'm sure that plot setup sounds familiar to you, especially as a Quints fan. We have a main character who met one of the girls currently in his harem a long time ago, but neither he nor the audience have any idea which one of the girls it is, leading to a slow, drip-fed mystery where Arisu must find Apollo with only the clues he has of her radio show in the past. As of writing this, there are only 22 chapters currently out, so we don't have a lot to speculate with, but I think Igarashi is doing a great job slowly dropping hints toward who Apollo is, while trying not to make it entirely obvious with various red herrings placed throughout the story. The four girls, the teasing musician Rika, the honest tsundere voice actress Nene, the ditzy yet responsible announcer Uzuki, and the shy VTuber Iko all have distinct, likable personality quirks that have great chemistry with the hard-working but sometimes arrogant Arisu that I can't definitively pick a best girl. While he himself wants to help them achieve their respective dreams to fulfill a promise he had made to Apollo in the past. I, personally, think this is done pretty well, as his aim to help them serves as a way to deepen Arisu's bonds with each of the girls, provide him with more hints toward who Apollo may be, and push each character's personal development forward each step of the way. And each of the steps Arisu lays out for the girls feels reasonable for where they are in their development and seems to take into consideration what they need to get closer to their dreams. Except for when it doesn't. One of my favorite arcs in the manga so far, aside from when the manga focuses its plot on figuring out who Apollo is, was Rika lashing out at Arisu for not understanding what it's like to perform, and what the difficulties singing and playing on stage really amount to. This results in Arisu almost hijacking one of Rika's performances to try it out for himself, in hopes of understanding Rika and her dream more. How it turns out is really sweet, and proved to me how much sense it made that these girls would fall for him. When he's putting in so much effort for them, despite, from most of their points of view, he doesn't need to go that far. It's not like Quints, where Futaro is tutoring the quintuplets for money, not that his motivation there is a bad thing, mind you, but Arisu genuinely cares about pushing them and coaching them to achieve their dreams. Which, by the way, is another thing I really like about this series, the relationship development. Riko, Nene, Shinobu, and Iko already clearly have feelings for Arisu for reasons I've explained earlier, and it feels like they're each taking steps to either figure out their feelings or act on them in the best way they think they can. There aren't really any contrived reasons any of them can't confess, and Arisu doesn't seem so dense. Even if they didn't confess to them, he'd probably be able to pick up on their context clues. Heck, by chapter 5, there's even a Quints-like promise made of him marrying the girl who turns out to be Apollo, and the romance feeds its way back into the coaching as well. In the recent chapters, Arisu pretends to be with Iko, after having previously pretended to be with Nene, to show Nene the feelings of jealousy and anger towards someone two-timing, and it helps her out tremendously regarding naturally responding with emotion, when all she could do previously was think about the correct response. Everything feeds back into each other so smoothly that it makes each aspect feel like one cohesive unit. Even with only a small amount of chapters out, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these threads weave together going forward, and I'm really excited for the future. But all that cannot come together without the beautiful art on display. I genuinely cannot overstate how much I love Igarashi's style, both with the cute character designs and the hyper-detailed backgrounds used in the two-page spreads. That's not to discount the fashion style used here either. I'm not a fashionista or anything, but man, each of the 4 girls have their own styles when it comes to casual wear and wear multiple different, unique outfits throughout the series that add so much character. On a purely marketable standpoint, the designs have so much potential for merchandise, gacha games, etc., and the fact that voice plays such a large role in the story really sells itself as a good potential anime and even a drama CD down the road. I'm dying to hear how a casting director would hire each of the seiyuu to fit the descriptions Arisu gives for Rika, Nene, Shinobu, and Iko's voice, and how they would each work to fit Apollo's seemingly dynamic voice on screen. That's not to say the manga comes without any missteps, however. My biggest issue with the story so far is I feel like some of the memories Arisu has of Apollo are purposefully contrived to add more ambiguity to Apollo's identity. What I mean by that is, instead of establishing a baseline for how Apollo is, it seems more like different things are made up on the fly to connect them to a specific girl. So Iko will really want her scent on a plushie Arisu won for her, and as it turns out, that's something Apollo would require of her plushies to fall asleep. Or how Shinobu tries on a ton of white outfits, only for it to suddenly be revealed that that was Apollo's favorite color. Sure, we're early on, and this could just be the baseline establishment I want, but it felt a little forced for me. I think, at the same time, I could see an argument that the girls fell for Arisu a bit too quickly, but honestly, I think if you're a fan of Quints and have been watching for this long, you won't mind it. I personally prefer it over having a couple clearly having feelings for each other, but they're both too dense to realize it until the very end. All in all, as someone who has been looking for something to fill the void Quints left in my heart, I think this does the job perfectly, and honestly, it surpasses Quints in some ways. The mystery is intriguing, the romance is well done, there's a good, well-established goal for everyone, and all of the girls are best girl. Even the kudere teacher that appears for the sports festival arc is great. If anything I've said today has interested you, the manga is currently available worldwide on What was that? Not worldwide? What? Never mind. Okay, maybe not worldwide, but it is available on K-Manga for anyone living in the US, and it simulpubs weekly too. Since it's so early, now's a great time to catch up and dive in on the fun. Speaking of fun, I wanted to end this video with one last thing. Since there is a mystery at play in this one, I've been very invested in that, and I want to talk a little bit about my theories and findings regarding who Apollo is. I highly doubt it, and this isn't an official theory crafting with J bit, but just in case, I'm going to put a spoiler warning here, so anyone who is not caught up on Midnight Heart and wants to, go do that. I left a link in the description down below so you can find it, and once you're finished, maybe come back when you're all caught up. For those of you still here, let's talk my theory. So, from my point of view, there's more evidence for one girl being Apollo at the moment, and that's our girl, Shinobu Uzuki. You can look at her ties with the things Apollo has said and link those up, but there's one scene in particular that I would like to focus on that would tie her to our finale female. That being the one where Apollo makes her grand appearance before Arisu for the first time in modern times in the chronology. In chapter 15, Apollo speaks to Arisu through a string phone, telling him that she's fine with revealing himself to him, to which he rejects. This is also where Arisu reaffirms his goal: to turn the 4 girls into pros, and that he'll find out Apollo's identity once that goal has been reached, prompting the most important line to figuring out who Apollo is. So you're serious about it. I don't think my dream can be achieved, she says. Now, this can be taken as a throwaway line, something said for the sake of the moment, but honestly, I don't think so. Earlier in the arc, in preparation for the sports festival, Arisu notices Uzuki taking on a lot of work and urges her to rely on others more. Uzuki goes on to say that she's fine with putting personal desires aside for the sake of others, and that taking on all the work isn't a big deal for her, leading to her saying she'll probably be leaving the club soon anyway. Yotsuba similarities aside, this kind of talk is very similar to the kind of thing Apollo said to Arisu later on, both showing a lack of confidence, or more accurately, a lack of desire to see their dream achieved. They even became partners in crime later on the chapter, and she hugged him. Now, I get what you're thinking. But Jay, Apollo went to her to make the confession. How could it possibly be her? And to that, I say, that's a good question, dear viewer. Allow me to explain that too. See, after the discussion between Arisu and Apollo happened, while Arisu was asleep at Sensei's apartment, Uzuki came up to Arisu and told him that she had a confession to make, that she had lied about something during the confession scene. We never got to know what it was she lied about, but we can infer that to mean she didn't actually hear it from someone, but it instead came from her. You can even see the embarrassment on Uzuki's face after Arisu confronts her about it directly after the confession. Therefore, the panel of someone whispering was just unreliable narration. Problem solved, right? Well, no. I think I should come clean about a couple things. Well, Uzuki did say she was going to quit the club to help others. She said she was going to do it to focus on her studies. That all the best announcers had graduated from higher-end colleges, so she wanted to follow in those footsteps in hopes of achieving that dream. Sure, Arisu still calls BS on the whole thing, but the line of her quitting the club had nothing to do with her lack of confidence in her dream. Quite the opposite, in fact. I think the true answer to the identity of Apollo lies behind the one who broadcasts behind an avatar to this day, Iko Kirino. Not only does her not wanting to reveal herself in front of others fit her shy character, but after the discussion between Apollo and Arisu at the clubroom at the after party where Arisu is asleep, Iko lies next to him in the bed and asks him about the hug and how far he went with Uzuki, even leading to a kiss attempt. Now I get it as another hair-romantic in any other scenario, but I think that this was an intentional way to covertly reveal Apollo, as if she's asking, right after confessing my feelings for Arisu through the confession service, after talking with him about how her dreams had not changed, why was he out there hugging Uzuki? Not to mention the fact that she seemed oddly attached to Arisu at the start of the manga, despite seemingly barely knowing him. I'm sure there are other points I missed, but you should get the idea by now, and hey, I could be totally off the mark. There's probably some big clue that I missed that would completely change my and your perception of Apollo's identity, and I'd love to hear your theories in the comment section down below. There are only 22 chapters, so there probably isn't much to theorize on just yet, but I'd love to read what you have cooking up in the theory department. Or, if you so fancy, head over to the Anipro Discord server, where a ton of anime fans get together to talk about our favorite series. We've got a lot of events, games, and discussions going on in there, and I, or someone else there, will always be down to talking about Midnight Heart or any anime and manga you may currently enjoy. Links to that will be in the description. But that's enough for now, so until next time, my name's Jay, I like anime, and happy reading. But seriously, all of them are best girl.